Welcome to The Straight Stitch, a podcast about sewing and other fiber arts. This is episode 81, and my name is Janet Szabo. I'll be your guide as we explore all things sewing. Here we are in the first week of June, and the big plant sale that I was chairman of is over. We had that on Saturday. It went very well. The weather was gorgeous. I managed to damage myself last week, though. Thursday morning, I ended up at the eye doctor for an emergency visit because apparently I scratched my cornea. He asked me what I had been doing, and I said I'd been out in the garden for about 3 days working, and so we figure maybe I got some dirt in my eye or a grain of sand or something, and it wasn't a very bad scratch, and it actually is much better now. He said it would only take a few days to heal. But Thursday night, I was setting up for the plant sale with my best friend Susan, who's also involved in that, and I managed to drop a table, the corner of a table, onto my right foot. It swelled up and it's bruised, but I don't think anything is broken. I can move my toes, and the swelling has gone down considerably over the last couple of days, and it's feeling much better. I'm not usually so clumsy or graceless, so let's hope I can get through the month of June without damaging any other body parts. I had some time in the afternoon last week to work on my Bernina University quilted jacket, and I've got the back piece put together and one of the front pieces put together, and I'm working on the other front piece and the 2 sleeves. So what I have to do is kind of cobble together the quilt blocks, and I'm actually putting some sashing between them so that it looks like the quilt blocks are floating. So that took a little bit of thinking and playing around and experimenting. The back was the hardest piece to do because it was larger. The fronts are going pretty quickly, and the sleeves aren't going to be difficult at all. The sleeves actually are 2-piece sleeves with an elbow dart. So I saved my smaller sawtooth stars and flying geese units for the sleeves. So I'm hoping that this week I will have all of those pieces put together and quilted, and I can start cutting out the actual pattern pieces from the quilted pieces. And once I get that done, it shouldn't take too long to actually assemble the jacket and attach the binding. The other project that I've been working on is the By Annie Place for Everything tote. I have the inside pages made. They just need to be bound. And I'm hoping to get to that as well so that I can start working on the other parts of that project. Looking forward to some additional projects that I want to get done this summer. I would like to do the Can Do Patterns retro sling bag. I've been thinking for a long time that I need a good sling bag, and that looks like a nice challenging project. It's also something that I probably can do on my Juki 1541, which is out in the garage. And I like working out there during the summer, either on tinkering with sewing machines, vintage sewing machines, or sewing on my 1541 because that garage stays nice and cool. So I'm thinking that'll be a good summertime project. I'll be teaching the cadence top from Love Notions at the end of next week at the quilt store in Missoula. And then the week after that, I'm teaching the free range slacks from Sew House 7 here at our quilt store here in Kalispell. I don't know how many of you belong to some local Facebook groups for your area, but I belong to the one for the Flathead Valley where I live here in Montana. And at the end of last week, someone posted a question about where to buy fabric in the Flathead Valley now that Joann Fabrics is closed. Several people chimed in and said, well, we have 3 quilt stores here in the Flathead Valley. We have 2 independent quilt stores and then a sewing and vacuum store that also carries quilting fabric. But some of the people who were responding to that post said that they were looking for garment fabric, and I was able to point out that the quilt store where I teach also carries garment fabric, which most people don't know. So we're working pretty hard at the quilt store to change that. and to let people know that, yes, you can get garment fabric at some quilt stores. And we're also offering a beginning sewing class because I think a lot of people, when they think about learning how to sew, don't necessarily think about quilt stores because they don't want to learn how to quilt. They want to learn how to sew. So we're going to start with a pillowcase class and we'll see how that goes. And from there, we'll maybe graduate to some additional learn to sew classes. And if we get people interested in quilting, that's great too, but not everybody wants to learn how to quilt, and that's fine. So I'm a big advocate of meeting people where they're at. And fortunately, this quilt store has the same philosophy. So they're willing to experiment and offer things that maybe some of the other stores aren't offering. Speaking of Jo-Ann Fabrics, mine closed. I stopped in there last Monday on Memorial Day, and it was closed. But I noticed on the joann.com website that there's an announcement, and it says, "We're stitching something new behind the scenes, and we can't wait to share what's next." So that's an interesting little teaser. The June 2025 issue of Craft Industry Insider, which is published by Craft Industry Alliance, came out this morning and it was in my inbox, so I was looking at it before I started recording. And H&H Americas, which is a big trade show for the industry, for quilting, sewing, knitting, I believe it was held in Chicago a few weeks ago. There was a note in the Craft Industry Insider that new research that came out at H&H Americas indicates that knitters and sewists are increasingly preferring shopping in person at brick and mortar stores. And I don't think that that's a surprise. I think consumers were in many ways forced to online shop during the pandemic. But if you are anything like me, you prefer to be able to touch and feel and see in person. So that doesn't surprise me. So we'll have to see. Perhaps Jo-Ann Fabrics is going to rise from the ashes. I know a few Michaels stores do carry fabric. I've seen it there in the bigger cities like in Seattle. But our Michaels is too small and doesn't carry fabric. And I've really been disappointed in Hobby Lobby's offerings. It seems like they didn't bring out any spring or summer fabrics at all this year. So I'm wondering what's going on with them, but we'll see what happens. So that's the news that I have for you from the sewing world as of today, the first Monday in June. I have another interview episode for you today, and my guest is Sherri Nelson. She owns a business called Purse Crafters, and she's also the driving force behind a new sewing event that's going to be taking place in Sacramento, California this coming September. It's called the Sac Bag and Sew Expo, and it'll be held September 12th through the 14th at the Scottish Rite Center in Sacramento, California. So Sherri came on to talk a little bit about the impetus behind this event and some of the teachers who will be participating. It sounds like a fun event. As I mentioned earlier in the podcast, I really want to work on a fairly involved bag pattern this summer. And I think an entire weekend of classes on bag making would be a lot of fun. So I'm going to turn it over to Sherri, and she'll tell us all about this new event. And it's one that I hope continues to grow in the coming years. So welcome to the podcast, Sherri.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk a little bit about you personally to kind of get us started. You have a business called Purse Crafters. What was your inspiration for starting this expo? This is the first year, correct?
It is the first year, and it's kind of, I never actually considered doing this. There was a question posed on Facebook in one of the groups that I'm in and said, why can't we have an expo like this in California? And I'm like, well, we could. And I used to be a wedding planner in about 10 years ago. And so I have some planning experience. I've planned large craft fairs and things like that. So I do have that type of experience, although this is a totally different thing entirely because there's a lot more involved in it than just getting some vendors coming in or just organizing a few vendors and decorations and that type of thing. There's a lot of logistics to go on. But it was interesting, and there was a lot of people that were very interested in the beginning. And so I said, yeah, I can try it. And we started with about 8 people volunteering to help. And when they realized how much time it was going to be, most of them backed out. I've picked up a couple people since then, and so it's me and basically 2 others working on it right now, plus the teachers that are doing their part.
Organizing these kinds of events is a huge job.
Yes.
And sometimes I think it's better to go in not knowing what to expect.
Right. And I think that's why I had so many people agree to volunteer in the first place. And then when they realized it was going to be a lot of work, they kind of backed out a little bit. And they're participating, they're coming to the event, which is wonderful, but it was just not, um, they're just not able to help with the planning. They'll be volunteering, but
So talk a little bit about the event itself. What are the dates?
they're September 12th through the 14th of 2025. And it's going to be at the Scottish Rites facility in Sacramento. And it's going to be pretty amazing, actually. We have some amazing teachers, and about, I believe, 28 different classes are being offered, not to mention the different demonstrations that are going to be held in the vendor area. So there's a lot going on. We have right now 12 different vendors, and I'm working on more today. That was one of my plans for today, to try and I'd like to get up to 20. I was hoping to get more than that, but I'm going to be happy with 20 this year. And we'll go from there. Um, it was it'll be a lot of fun. We have food vendors coming. We have just a lot of different things going on. There's going to be prizes. There's going to be scavenger hunt throughout the day, and lots of different things, different types of contests and stuff also.
I noticed on the website that you're having a fashion show for bags.
I am. I am I'm having everybody bring, or the people that want to participate, bring the favorite bag that they've put together. And I'm going to have 3 different categories: beginning, intermediate, and advanced. And then we will let them walk across the stage with their bag, show us what it looks like, hopefully have some kind of a area where they can be displayed for an hour or two so people can actually look at them, and then we'll give away prizes for them too. So yeah, it'll be exciting.
I've had 2 of your participants as podcast guests before. Jojo
Yes,
Bazell is donating one of the prizes, and Chris Murphy is one of the teachers.
that's correct. Yes. Jojo is donating the actual grand prize. He's donating a vintage industrial machine that he's refurbishing and rebuilding. And Chris is doing actually 4 different classes. She's going to be doing 3 of her own bags, and then she's doing a bag that I've designed.
Talk a little bit about some of the other teachers that you have teaching. And I noticed that they're not strictly sticking to bag making. You kind
No,
of
we
venture
we
out a little bit.
we did venture out a little bit, thinking that some of the people that come would like to try something a little bit different. We have Tava, singer from Cali Quilts Co., and she is doing a Biani bag as well as a minky elephant. And then this way, if we have any like 12, 13, 14-year-old girls, or even parents of, or people that have grandchildren or just want to make something for their child. They'll be able to make a minky animal, and it gives them an outlet to do something completely different other than bags that day. We also have a coat, a reversible coat. Amanda is doing that one. And she is also doing a tabletop quilt. Not a quilt, but like a quilt topper. So there's those three classes that I'm trying to think. I think those are the main three classes. We do have a leather class, a bag making 101 class that's going to tell everybody about all the different options in bag making. And then there's going to be somebody doing a leather demonstration and skiving. I have somebody that I just hooked up that's going to be doing a demonstration of tabletop engravers that are out now. She's got her own large machines at home, but she's bringing a tabletop one with her to do different types of tags and things like that to show people how to do those. And she'll take orders and things to send out to people for that too. So that's exciting.
It sounds like you have a good mix of classes and
Yes.
demos for beginners all the way to more experienced bag makers.
That is correct. I've worked with the teachers to get a lot of different types of things. We have a basic one. The mercantile tote is not difficult, but it is not also a beginning bag. But there are some beginner bags. The tiny cotta that's being done by Chinova from that Sonova is more of a beginner bag. But it can also stretch to be something that's not so beginning. So the teachers are working to make sure it's something that people that are new to the aspect of bag making can do, as well as people that are advanced, how they can change patterns to make them what they want them to be, and take a simple pattern and make it a little bit more challenging.
Do you get the sense? I mean, it sounds like from your Facebook group where people were asking, can't we have a bag expo in California? That bag making has become more and more popular in the recent couple of years.
I absolutely do. It's funny, quilting, although it's still popular, is kind of taking a back seat to bag making in many ways. And people are starting to really take on the different types of patterns that are available and find different ways to use sewing to create things. And this is by doing this with bag making, people are starting to also do the same thing in clothes and stuff like that. They're finding that, changing a pattern isn't just necessarily for bag making. You can change a pattern up in clothes making too. So it's bringing new aspects to sewing, which is what we were excited about from the very beginning. I was hopeful that that would be what would happen.
I've done a few bags myself. I have a couple of industrial machines, and I
Nice.
remember that when I first started, it's almost like you don't know what questions to ask and you don't know where to get the supplies.
That's very true. And unfortunately, with Joanne's going out, it's harder now. But there are a ton of vendors and people online that are starting to sell. And you can get them from people from companies like Simply Classic, which is Chris's business, to Wonderground Fabrics, who is one of our vendors. Tava in Cali Quilts Co. is going to be selling bag making supplies now and in her new shop. So it's going to be a lot of stores are getting into that too. So it makes it a little bit easier too now.
I am a big fan of Wonderground fabrics.
Me too. Me too.
I like their bonded nylon.
Yes, yes, I have some of it, and it's very it's easy to sew with, and it
Yes.
gives you a real nice texture. Yeah, I agree.
So are you anticipating drawing just from mostly California, or are you hoping that you'll get more participants from other places on the West Coast?
I actually have people coming from Washington, people coming from the whole West Coast, Nevada, Arizona, Oregon. I have people coming from Montana, but then
Yay.
I also have people coming from as far east, not just the teachers, but I have other people coming from like New York and stuff. So there are people coming from all over the country. Then I have a couple people come. I have one teacher, Tara Sinclair, is coming from Canada, and she's doing our shoes, our tennis shoe classes. And there's also at least one other person, I believe, coming from Canada also. It's pretty fun. It's going to be a lot of fun and very exciting. Something different that we're doing that most other expos don't do is if you're a VIP, you're getting a meet and greet with the teachers and the vendors, which is not done with most people. So they're actually getting individual time as individual as you can get with 100 VIPs as well as all of the teachers. But there'll be 150 people there having dinner, talking, and they can get into groups and they can meet with whoever they want and talk to them about what they have and what they have to offer and that and what they do and how they got into the business and that type of thing. So I think that'll be fun. But prior to that, I'm doing a vendor teacher dinner on Thursday night to get them just like a social to get them relaxed and ready for the expo on Friday too. So
It's always fun as a teacher. I enjoy meeting other teachers and comparing notes
I agree. I agree.
and talking.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the scavenger hunt. That sounds like a lot of fun.
The scavenger hunt's going to be a video scavenger hunt. I'm going to give everybody a list of clues at the beginning when they come in with their packets. And then they'll have to go around through the booths and the different things that the vendors have brought and the different parts of the different classes and stuff and take pictures throughout the weekend. And then on Sunday, before they leave, they'll have to submit it. Those prizes will actually be mailed out because I'll have to go through all those pictures after the expo and see who has come up with the most correct answers. So it'll be fun. Yeah, in addition to that, we're going to do a kind of like a floor bingo where I will every 20 minutes or so pull a number or a letter or a shape or something. And everybody, when I ring a bell, everybody's going to have that's in the main vendor area will have to get on a shape that's on the floor, and whoever's on that spot gets a prize. So, and we have some pretty good prizes. So I'm pretty excited about that too. I'm working to make it not just your ordinary expo. I want it to be fun. I want it to be something different.
Great. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you want to highlight?
We have some amazing teachers other than, let's see, we've got Chinova, we've got Rayvon from Love Lola. We have Kathy Caudill from Caudill Handmade. Um, Tara, I talked about. Let's see, who else do we have? Tava, Amanda from Sewcations. Sew Bestie is the new name of the business. And then we have some newcomers to this, Barrett Hale, and she's Barrett's Baubles, I believe. And then we have a projector class, which is something that I really want to push because I think a lot of people don't realize if they don't have a cutting machine, a projector is a great way to cut files. And Lucy's doing a beginning projector class, and Lucy is new to teaching, so it'll be exciting for her as well as for anybody that's in that class. So I'm excited about that. I would also like to offer anybody that reaches out to me, if I'm going to send you a discount code, and if we can put that somehow in the link, anybody that listens to this can get a discount code off of one class of 15%.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
we'll
excited
definitely
about that.
put that in the show notes.
Yeah, so I think that's about it, though. I think, we just need to get the word out a little bit more to get as many people participating as possible. and fill up the classes and make sure that the event is the best it can be. Because my hope is that it'll grow every year, and that although we're at a great venue, I'd like to be at a larger venue in 2 years. So, which means we've got to really work to get it built up. So,
Well, that's awesome. I'm excited for you.
thank you. Thank you. I am too. I think it's going to be a good show, and I'm just really getting more excited as the day, more excited and more nervous as we get closer.
Yeah. So
So,
tell our listeners how they can find out about more about the show.
there's two ways. Our Facebook group, you are welcome to join. It is on Facebook. It's called Sac Bag, BAGN, Sew, SEW, SAC space Bag and Sew Expo on Facebook. And the website is Sac Bag and Sew Expo at .com. Sorry, sacbagandsew.expo.com. And you can always drop me an email at sacbagandsew@gmail.com, and I will answer all of your questions as quickly as I can.
Great. And I'll put links to everything
Perfect. Thank you.
in the show notes. Is
Thank
there
you.
anything else you want to mention?
I don't think so. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to get some response and hear from people and get their opinions. So I'm looking forward to what's going on. That's the other thing I do want to say is if you have any suggestions, I am never against hearing them. It's one of the things I've done for this expo is always ask questions of the people in my Facebook group. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then I take those, and some I use, some I don't, but I try to apply as many of them in one way or another as I can.
Well, I hope it's a very successful show for you.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much.
If you're a sewist who hasn't yet tried bag making, I would encourage you to venture in that direction. You can start small with some zipper pouches. Try some of the by Annie patterns. They're some of the best ones out there. Anna Graham at Noodlehead has some fantastic patterns, some of which are aimed at beginning bag makers. So there are lots of ways to get into bag making. And if you are anywhere close to Sacramento, I would encourage you to go spend the day or even the whole weekend at the Sac Bag and Sew Expo, because it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. If you need the links that were mentioned on today's episode, they will be on the show notes page on the website, which is at www.thestraightstitchpodcast.com. Look there for that 15% discount code that Sherri mentioned. You can send me feedback using the fan mail feature, or consider leaving a review at Apple Podcasts or at Spotify. I really enjoy reading the reviews. If you want to contact me directly, email me at janet@janetzabo.com, and I will try to get back to you within a couple of days, depending on how nuts my schedule is or how much damage I've been doing to myself. My website is at www.janetzabo.com, and that's where you can find links to the Big Sky Knitting Designs website, where I sell my patterns and books, and you can also find a link to my blog. And if you want to see the projects that I'm working on, you can either follow me on Instagram at Straight Stitch Podcast, or you can check out the blog, because that's where I post interesting pictures of what I've been working on. And this time of year, there are a lot of pictures of things I'm seeing outside too. I'm excited to get my Bernina University jacket finished and to finish my By Annie A Place for Everything tote, and maybe start working on that Can Do Patterns retro sling bag. Until next week's episode, I hope that you have a great week and that you get to go sew something.